A number of years ago, I had the privilege of attending a lecture in London. I was the ministerial director at that time of the Southwestern Union Conference, headquartered in Texas. And they sent me over to this lecture in London to sit at the feet of a world-renowned physicist. And I didn't claim to have a great knowledge of physics. I'm always in awe of physics, actually. But this guy was a Christian physicist. And he tried to help us understand the theory of relativity, and which I've never understood, quite frankly, but he tried to make it simple. And he used this little illustration that I've never forgotten. He drew a circle on the board and he said, "That's the Earth. And if you were capable of taking a journey away from the Earth, travelling at the speed of light," and we know how fast light travels, don't we? How fast does it travel? 186,000 miles a second. It's the fastest speed known to man. So far I'm computing this. Okay, I'm going to take a journey travelling at the speed of light. That's pretty fast. It takes light about 1.25 seconds to come from the moon to us. I mean, it's pretty fast. And he said, and you went on the journey for 24 hours. But you're travelling at the speed of light. So you went out for 12 hours and you came back. And so far we're all saying, okay, we can follow this. And he said, when you arrive back on the Earth 24 hours later, something remarkable would have taken place. We all said, okay, well, what could have happened in 24 hours? He said, when you arrive back on the Earth again, 1,000 years would have gone by. That's when I fell off the seat. 1,000 years would have passed by. And he explained to us that when you speed up, the faster you go until you reach the speed of light, time expands the faster you go. This was Einstein's brilliant discovery. And you're going so fast that you're travelling at the speed of light that what used to be a 24-hour period has now expanded into 1,000 years of time. And he said, if there is a being capable of travelling at that speed, and of course my mind was already taking hold of the biblical passage that says a day with the Lord is like, I said, oh, hallelujah, God must be travelling at the speed of light. Then I said, well, God is light. Of course he's travelling at the speed of light. And things started to come together. But this physicist, brilliant man, he said, if there is a being who's capable of travelling at speeds like that, then there's no such thing in his existence as past or future. Those are terms associated with beings who have beginnings and endings. How do you have a past if there's no beginning? And he said, because God is travelling at that speed, he lives in the great eternal now. That's why he's called biblically not the great I was, but the great I am. And he says, so whether you like it or not, God's present, because of the speed he's travelling at, includes your past. I thought, wow. And God's present includes your future. God is in your entire span of life. It's only a fraction of the time in which he lives. And he then went on to say, your whole life is still happening. It's only passed to you. But somebody travelling at that speed, he sees it still happening in his present. And he challenged us, how big is your God? And he said to us, you may be sitting here in a crisis. Today, you could have just gone through a death in your family. You may have gone through a divorce, a very painful experience recently. You may have gone through a disaster economically. You may have been out of work for the last 12 months. It's very common today. I live in a state myself that has a 10% unemployment rate, which, with the population of California, that's a lot of people. A lot of people. And he said, it doesn't matter what experience you may have gone through or you may be passing through, but God has made absolute provision for your past, present, and future in the cross of Jesus Christ. I thought, wow. Because the cross has covered all your past sins. The cross brings the living Christ into you presently, and Jesus is already in your future, living the life that you will eventually embrace. You have it all at the cross. And at that moment I began to realize that I had far too small a picture of God. That there was no circumstance in my life, nothing absolutely, that God could not unveil to me. Wow, think of that. Because He's already there.